From the Kia of Cleveland studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 101.3, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no slap. Got a thirst for killing. Think your mind,
Welcome back to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Andy here along with Jim and Jacob. Excited to talk about some college football today, some Atlanta Braves. Listen, Jacob's wearing an Atlanta Braves shirt today. Kind of impressed. It's a throwback, a Chipper Jones player tee, and just kind of makes me feel good to know that Jacob is still a Braves fan.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. I'm not a bandwagon. I'm always going to be a Braves fan. It's just sometimes it's really hard to watch, especially now that football's back on. I almost feel like because we're not in that October mix, I got to shift my focus. I got to dive in on something else.
It's hard.
I was going to say, it was always when he turned around and it said Jones on it, I always wondered if that upset Andrew Jones because he always had A. period Jones, and Chipper Jones just had Jones.
There was a point in time where Chipper had C.
Did he
Jones.
have the C?
Yes, there was a point in time. But I tell you this, when it comes,
I just bring up the nuttiest things sometimes.
well, that's good stuff right there.
I always wonder what Andrew thought about that.
Those of us that are lifelong Braves fans, we enjoy talking about stuff like that, reminiscing and remembering when AJ rocked the 25, the A. Jones, and that's one thing that I always thought was cool. Like, I was like, dude, his name's Andrew. He spells it different, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I always got a kick out of that. But as far as being a Braves fan this year, I feel like, just like Jacob said, not being in the mix is deflating to your fandom. But you know this about me as well as anybody, Jim. I'm tuning in every single night. The Braves game's on. If there's a good college football game, I'm flipping. I'm back and forth. If the Braves are getting blown out, I'll go to the college football game and decompress a little bit and enjoy that. But not being a part of the October conversation, the postseason conversation in Major League Baseball, it's new. Brian Snitker, when he took over, took this.
I'm used to it, but go ahead.
Yeah, took the as a Reds fan. Reds fan, you are.
Every year.
But he took this organization out of such a dark place during the Freddie Gonzalez era, who, oddly enough, is our third base coach. And Freddie's a great guy. But his tenure fell on a rough time in Braves history. But to see what Snit has been able to do and to win the 6 division titles in a row and to get the wild card last year and squeak into the playoffs the way they did, there's always been an amount of energy around Atlanta Braves baseball for about 8 years now. And it's kind of heartbreaking to just know, hey, the season's over. We got 21 games left, and that's all the Braves baseball we're going to have for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's tough. But how you feel about the Braves is how I feel about the Dogs. Like, when Ole Miss was kicking our teeth in last year, I'm watching it. Like, and then to be quite honest with you, I'm going back and watching.
Well, if you call that an off year, as a Bulldog fan, that's a pretty dang good year. Most fans would say, I'll take that every single year.
I'm not calling that an off year. I'm just talking about how you watch the Braves, how you are watching them constantly. I'm saying even in a loss, when George is on the screen, I'm not turning it off.
Well, see, I'm like that with Notre Dame, too, but you don't get it every single night. Now, I love social media. I love YouTube because we've got all this content. Like, listen, I've dove in to some Tennessee content here. So between my Notre Dame stuff that I've always watched and the Tennessee stuff that I'm watching now, the Mike Keith show that was just on before us, and all the specialty shows that they're putting out of the Tennessee athletic department now, like, I've got so much content to watch, and I love that. But being able to sit and watch them compete, there's something about Major League Baseball. You get that fix every single night.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I want to ask you this, Jacob. So last week they played Marshall.
Yeah.
Talking about Georgia. Obviously, Georgia's going to. Georgia's going to win the game before the game even kicks off. Are there times when Georgia's got a really comfortable lead? They've already pulled the starters, and there's an intriguing game on another channel that you'll just flip it away?
No, I've got 2 TVs in my living room, Jim.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I forgot about that.
I've got one dedicated to Georgia, and then I've got the 4 best games on the other one. And, and here's the thing: I like watching it because I want to see like what young bucks have like in store. Like I'm watching. I went back and watched. I watched the game live, and then sometimes if it's an early game, I'll watch it again that night, or I'll go back and watch it again on Sunday. But where I was going with you was if you had to choose between the Braves and the Irish, we've had this conversation, you're going Braves.
Most of the time, yes, because that is it's a little bit different. When it comes to college football, I'm a lifelong Irish fan, but my brother's a Florida State fan. My dad grew up in a pro town up north as a Browns fan, and then once he moved here, became a Tennessee fan. So, like, I pull for Florida State. I loved seeing them whoop up on the Tide last week, by the way. I pull for Tennessee, obviously, with all the coverage we do here. But the Braves are so entwined into my entire family for 3-4 generations now that it's a little bit more special.
Interesting.
For me. But I'll say this. Jacob asked me a question a couple years ago, Jim. He said, listen, if you could have – this is before the Braves won the World Series in 21, so it's been more than a couple of years. But he said, if you could have a Notre Dame national title or an Atlanta Braves World Series, and that's the only championship you're ever going to get again, which one would you want? And that was tough, man. I thought about it. I was like, my first reaction was like, oh, I think I said Notre Dame initially. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't know. And I thought about it, and I was like, dude, I want a Braves World Series. There's something so special about getting to watch a 7-game World Series, 6 in 95, 6 in 21, and because of what it means to me as a person, individually, my family, I was like, dude, I want that World Series trophy back in Atlanta. Sure enough, we got to actually have the trophy here in the studio, thanks to Steve and the Atlanta Braves bringing that bad boy up here, and got the background picture on my laptop right here is my family and I standing around the World Series trophy. So that was special.
That's so funny that you say that because I've always thought the same thing. Well, listen, Ohio State won a national championship last year. So if you ask me today, what would I rather have? The Bengals winning the Super Bowl, the Reds winning the World Series, or Ohio State maybe basketball winning a national championship? I'm going Bengals right now over everything because Ohio State's got theirs.
Does that change? Does that change for you?
Not anymore. It's been so hard. I'm a huge Cincinnati Bengals fan. They've been to 3 Super Bowls. They've lost all 3, all of them by one score. And it's been gut-wrenching. And I'm like, I just wanted to get one Super Bowl. I just wanted to win one Super Bowl. I've seen the Reds win 3 World Series in my life. Ohio State has won a national championship in basketball. They've won a College World Series, too, believe it or not. Ohio State football is doing, but the Bengals have never, ever been champions, ever. So that's the one thing I want. More than anything.
Would you pierce your nipple for a Super Bowl for the Bengals?
Gosh, here we go. No.
Listen, for those of our listeners that also listen to Mixed Mornings,
Mixed Morning, yeah.
Steve
I got ambushed this morning.
Steve completely set up an ambush on Jim this morning, and I willingly partook in it. So we had a lot of fun with that. If you get a chance, get on YouTube, mixedtv.tv.
About 7:30 this morning. And it's so funny because Steve texted me last night. He goes, hey, you get to be in around 7:30? I said, sure. I'm like, oh, I don't know why. Maybe I thought, well, the NFL's kicking off tonight.
He made Jim wake up earlier to just get attacked.
I get here, y'all. I get here at 7 o'clock every morning.
Okay, good. Good.
So I'm always here anyway. So I was like, oh, he probably just wants to talk a little bit about the NFL season kicking off or whatever. Mr. G-rated here, thinking everything's up on the up and up. And at first it was like that, and then it kind of transitioned. And it actually had the photograph there of Ryan Day. And they had him on the screen. I was like, oh, my gosh, here we go.
So good.
And it was so funny. Watching Bridget. Bridget was blushing, man.
So good.
It was so funny.
Well, one thing that Steve and Bridget have learned about me, sometimes I push the limits a little bit. So I'm going to do this on air. I apologize.
No.
Well, hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
I apologize for putting you at the forefront of this, but man, it's been funny.
But I'm
it's
gonna tell
been
you,
good.
And before he even came on the air, we were just kind of going. I said, Jacob man is like an old married couple on the air sometimes. The way you guys interact with it cracks me up.
And my response to that was, speaking of an old married couple, I think Jim might be getting some piercings to spice
Yeah.
things up a little bit.
And that's when I knew, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? That's when the photograph came up on. I was like, okay, here we go.
Oh,
that was classic,
I
man.
missed
It was
that.
fun.
we have fun here. This is a fun place, no doubt.
No doubt about that. But
Well,
yeah.
to answer y'all's questions, I'm going to, like dogs. I don't care. I got to watch back to back, and I'm still saying if you could tell me it's the dogs.
So even if the Raiders were in the Super Bowl,
Dogs. Now that may change.
what about Georgia basketball?
It may change if you were to tell me that's the only one I ever get again, because I've had 2 Georgia ones, and the Raiders haven't won in a really, really, really long time. But I've told my friends, like, the year that they finally do it, do you know how awesome that's going to be?
And you're a new Raider fan.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're a Vegas
Yeah.
Raider fan. So
Yeah.
like that would, I see that being cool for you. But obviously Jacob is straight up Bulldog. You asked a question, basketball. I don't think Jacob. He's kind of like me in that regard. Like Notre Dame basketball. Like you say something, I'm like, who cares?
I watch it when it's on. You know, I'm glad they're a little bit more competitive. I go to a Georgia baseball game every year with my brother, so like watching them win the College World Series.
Omaha would be cool.
Would be really awesome. You know, me and my brother have really kind of dived in on that. Like we go just about every spring break.
Yeah, and see, that's where my answer's probably changed since the last time Jacob asked me that question. Is now the Braves have their World Series 21. Would I love to see another one? I'm not as hungry for it because I was a kid in '95 and I enjoyed it and I remember it and it was cool. But it had been so long, I was like, dude, I want my kids to experience that. So that's where I really wanted that World Series title in 21. I got it now. I'm like, man, Notre Dame's due.
Yeah.
We've been in the mix. We played in a title game last year. I'm ready for it. But I know our Tennessee fans are also ready. 98's been a while.
It has been, although you can still get national championship license plates, believe it or not.
Yeah, oh yeah, I see
it's
them.
crazy. It's absolutely insane in a way. I mean, think about it. They're 27 years old, and you can still get a national championship
I
license
can't
plate.
believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
Yeah, Tennessee fans are hungry. And speaking of, when we come back from this break, Caleb Giroux from the Daily Times is going to talk some Tennessee Vols with us right here on The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. We'll be back in just a second.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Now at Hardee's, 2 hand-breaded chicken tender wraps are only $5. Mix and match your favorite flavors like buttermilk ranch, honey mustard, and spicy. Endless combinations start with 2 warm tortillas, each filled with 100% white meat, juicy on the inside, crispy on the outside, hand-breaded chicken tenders. Any 2 wraps, now just $5. Hardee's, goodness in the making. These items only. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included. Visit restaurant for details.
When competition is fierce, sports injuries happen, and Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Saturday sports clinics are available at our Chattanooga and Cleveland offices from August 23rd through November 8th for the treatment of non-emergency orthopedic injuries like sprains, strains, and fractures. Doors open at 9 a.m., no appointment needed to be seen by our highly trained physicians and clinical staff. Saturday sports clinic dates are subject to change. Check sportmed.com for the latest information. That's sportmed.com.
This is Alfonso Reviso, General Manager over at Crown in Cleveland, your local Jeep and Ram dealership.
Cleveland Tire Center for over 45 years with the best name in tires: Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and Michelin. Northley Highway, Cleveland. Cleveland Tire Center, with a name says it all.
Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Visit milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, it makes sense to choose an insurance agent that's a part of your community. Your local Allstate agent knows the ins and outs of both owning and protecting a home in your neighborhood. By choosing a local Allstate agent, you get an expert who knows the community and is committed to getting to know you. Which means George Gray can help you get the protection you want that fits you and your life. Are you in good hands? Contact George Gray, Allstate Insurance today for a free quote.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians, $22 to $27 per hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one. Medical, dental, vision insurance, and paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. And we're happy to get Caleb Giroux from the Daily Times. We're going to talk a little Tennessee volunteer football. How you doing, Caleb?
Doing good, just surviving some torrential downpours over here in Blount County, but hopefully things are a little bit more calmer over there on your end.
Yeah, we're supposed to get some nasty stuff coming up, I guess within 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's heading our way.
Yeah, so, hey, let me ask you this, man. Obviously, we know what happened against Syracuse, Tennessee, looked pretty good. Now they're playing East Tennessee. What do you think Tennessee wants to focus on mostly when they're playing the East Tennessee?
Yeah, I think this week especially, kind of testing the depth, because we know this Tennessee roster is talented. I mean, you look at the recruiting classes from the past few years, like they're in the blue chip ratio. So on paper that this team should be talented. But I think what this ETSU game offers you is a chance to actually test what you have in those guys, because, maybe they made a debut against Syracuse, played a couple snaps, but we truly haven't seen what these guys, when the bullets start flying, what they do on the football field. So I think this is a good week to kind of test what depth you have, looking at some of those guys, some of the freshman defensive backs, especially with the injuries that have hit that unit. And I'd like to see some of the younger defensive linemen get in to see, what you have in those guys, because currently, all we have to base off of is, he was a 4-star or he was a 5-star in high school, but we don't know actually what he'll, some of those guys will prove when they get on the field. So I kind of have the defensive back circled at some places I want to see some freshmen perform, and also the wide receiver, because both of those units right now are really thin, and you're a couple rolled ankles away from those freshmen being your number one or number two guys. So, and really defensive back it already is, with Ty Redmond being that number two defensive back. So I would say, really, you have talent, but seeing what you have and who are the guys that when the lights come on and bullets start flying and you got another team on the other side of the field actually will perform.
Caleb, this is Jacob. One of the rooms that I was the most impressed with was the running back core that Tennessee rolled out. Deshaun Bishop was a guy that we here at the station have actually got to call a game for when he was up at Carnes, and he looked really, really good. Just kind of talk about, do you think that they'll roll with that three-man package, or do you think it'll continue to shrink down to one of those two guys that got the majority of the carries?
Yeah, speaking of Deshaun Bishop, Knoxville guy, I'm a Carnes alum myself, so I know good and well, what he was able to do in high school. But to answer your question, I think that running back room will stick with the three running backs. It reminds me a lot of what you saw in 23 and maybe a little bit in 22 as well, with whenever you had Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, and Dylan Sampson, you had guys who you knew you didn't have to rely on for the whole game. And with the way Tennessee plays offense, I think that's always important to have a rotation at that spot, because, they might not be getting a lot of carries, but with how many plays Tennessee's offense runs, you want to have those guys fresh and on the field. And more importantly, you don't want to be subbing them out, because with, the way Josh Heupel's offense works is if you sub, all of a sudden everything slows down because the defense can sub. So I think those top three guys, Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis, and Stark Thomas are going to be your three. And I think they all bring kind of a little bit something different to the table. I think Deshaun, is more of a power guy, a bruiser guy. You saw him able to break tackles. But then you saw also, the breakaway speed isn't really there compared to a guy like Peyton Lewis, who was a state champion in Virginia in track in several events, and he's a speedster. But for him, the problem has been learning running back and how to get that pad level low and truly hit a hole. And then you compare that all to Stark Thomas, who, is the newest guy to Tennessee, but he's the veteran of the room. And you saw what he can do out of the backfield in the passing game. But also, I think he's just kind of the best all-around running back that this team has, just with his experience as well. So I think they'll stick with the three. Joey Halzle said that they want to use the running backs in the passing game a lot more as well. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see more screens drawn up for those guys, maybe some halfback wheel routes, and really making sure everybody's involved.
Hey, Caleb, Andy here, and you had mentioned the defensive backs, and I really think that this is a good week to be taking on ETSU, to be able to get the depth of your secondary on the field, kind of get them game tested a little bit. Obviously, with the news of Ricky Gibson III having that injury Saturday, Tennessee announced he's going to be out for a significant amount of time. Obviously, Jermod McCoy is out. So I would assume you're going to see a lot more Boo Carter on the field, and as well as some other guys that are going to have to kind of get acclimated to playing consistently.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, particularly with the guys having to play consistently. And I think this offers a good chance for Tennessee to kind of test some, combinations as well. You mentioned Boo Carter. If you put him, if he's on the field more and he's at that star position, that allows you to rotate Jalen McMurray over to the cornerback spot, and that adds instant depth with a veteran guy at the cornerback spot. They're still kind of toeing the line with Boo Carter, so I'd like to see, whether this week or Georgia week, kind of a firm answer there on if he's going to be a part of the team, what he's going to do, all of those things. But, no, you hit the nail on the head. I think this comes at a perfect time, especially with some of the unfortunate injuries, to not only get those freshmen on the field, but see who plays the best with each other and see who can kind of handle their own. Because we saw a little bit against Syracuse, where when you start mixing veteran guys with younger guys on the field, all of a sudden there's a coverage blown in the back end, and Syracuse gets an open third down, or things of that nature happen. So I agree with you that you really need to get these guys on the field, and especially, kind of get some of the nerves out too, because there's going to be no time to get nerves out here in a couple of weeks when Georgia comes to town. So that's good for this week against an ETSU team that'll have good quarterback play with two guys from the Power 5 level, but still a team that Tennessee should take care of business with. So, like I said, defensive back is the position I have circled. I want to see what those freshmen can do. You've got a lot of guys at that position that we haven't really seen yet in a game and only caught glimpses of in practice, and none of those were pass reps as well. So I'd like to see what you have at that position, who are going to be the guys they lean on, and also, too, who are they rotating to that cornerback spot? Because, in this secondary, they have a lot of guys who can play, whether it's nickelback, safety, or cornerback. I want to see who they rotate down to help with depth at that cornerback position and see what that looks like. And ETSU is the best time to do it, because at the end of the day, you should hang 50, 60 points on ETSU, which gives you some room to work with the defense.
No question about that. We're talking to Caleb Giroux from the Daily Times, talking a little Tennessee volunteer football. Listen, I believe we're going to see, Joey Aguilar probably through the end of the half, maybe one or two drives in the second half, and then Jake Merklinger. Do you think that's all we're going to see is Jake Merklinger, or do you think there's a chance George McIntyre might see some playing time?
Yeah, I think George McIntyre probably should see some playing time, just because the way he was talked about during the quarterback competition was in high regard. Heupel never narrowed that competition down to two quarterbacks. He kept it at three before Joey was named the starter. So I think, if George was good enough to keep that a three-man race, then I think he should be on the field and get some reps against ETSU. And really, I always hate to be the Debbie Downer or look at it from that way, but, Joey was a runner. We saw him like to lower his shoulder. So if he gets injured or gets a tweaked ankle or anything like that, all of a sudden George McIntyre is now a play away from being on the field. So I think it's important to get him on the field. And you look back at kind of Heupel's track record. His freshman, quarterbacks usually have been on the field They haven't thrown the ball a ton. You look back at Jake Merklinger last year, he played a drive or two, which seemed to be more so like, hey, let's get him on the field, get him in front of the crowd and running the offense versus, kind of airing it out and seeing what you have there. So I wouldn't be shocked. I think George McIntyre should get on the field. I wouldn't be shocked if he does, but don't be surprised either if he's just on there to hand the ball off and really just relay play calls.
Caleb, if you had to pick a position group to take its next step forward from week 1 to week 2, what do you think, which position group would you say needs to take the biggest step?
Yeah, I've talked about depth a lot, and a lot of my concern with, DBs or the defensive line comes from depth. But a group I want to see take a step forward, too, would be the wide receivers. You have good, like I said, you have talent there. Mike Matthews was one of the highest-rated prospects at a high school. Chris Brazzell, you know what he can do. Braylon Staley shined with that, deep ball, and he's a guy, you can rely on. My worry is there's still drops with that unit, and I think ETSU is a great time to, maybe not have explosive plays or the best day from your wide receivers, but if you leave Saturday and you're like, yeah, these guys, made it through Saturday without a drop, I think that would be big for this team just from a confidence standpoint and knowing that your wide receivers can do that. Because some of those
difference between an average morning and a Hardees morning is hearty goodness that lasts till lunchtime, like Hardees smoked sausage biscuits.
Into the postseason or into a big game against Georgia or Alabama, and all of a sudden you got a wide receiver who drops the ball, on a big third down or fourth down. And the one that comes to mind is the Chris Brazzell one. He went on that slant and the ball hit him right in between the numbers, and he just didn't catch it. Well, if he catches that ball and makes it move, all of a sudden he could be in the end zone. He only had one guy to beat. So I think that is where I have circled, just to see the wide receivers play a clean game. It doesn't have to be the most fancy thing, get the freshman involved, play a clean game, and be sure-handed. Because if you sure that unit up with the way Joey Aguilar's been playing and the way the offensive line and running backs impressed, I think you could have a pretty good offense.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties there. Got a little bit of a Hardees commercial plugged in there.
We're all just real hungry. That's what it is. Hey, let me ask you this. In Atlanta, there were 45,918 fans that attended the Tennessee-Syracuse game. What's your opinion about regular season neutral site games? I think I've got an opinion. I'm just curious what your opinion is.
Yeah, since you're asking the question, I think our opinions might be the same, but I'm not a big fan of the neutral site games. I think there's definitely, worse things. But my thing is, college football is at its best when you're on a campus. You've got 100,000 people going crazy, tailgating. You've got teams walking up. And you don't really get that same feeling from an NFL stadium. So I always wish, that games like that, especially big games, like this Georgia Tech game coming up that Tennessee has scheduled, that would be awesome if it's on Georgia Tech's campus and you really get the full feeling, Bobby Dodd Stadium and all the history of that. I think that's, college football at its best is you're on a college campus. There's people tailgating everywhere. And truly just a rowdy, crazy environment. And you don't get that from other sports, and I don't think you get that feeling from an NFL stadium either. I think it's a cool experience for the players, obviously playing in an NFL stadium. It's cool to cover, but it's just not the same feeling as a college stadium where you get the history and you're on a place where great players have played, and it's just pure. I think college football at its best is two bands playing full volume and just pure chaos for 4 quarters, and you don't really get that feeling from an NFL stadium. It feels kind of like a void, especially when, like on Saturday, Tennessee had most of the fans, but they were only on one side of the stadium, so it was just kind of echoey and felt like a void.
The last time that Tennessee, or actually the only time they played East Tennessee, was 2018. Final score was 59-3. Do you think Tennessee wins by 56 or more points this week?
That's a tough one. I will say I'll lean no. I think it'll be close. Maybe 50-52.
Now, remember what they did to the Mocs last year, what they did to my Chattanooga Mocs last year.
Yeah, it's true. You got a point there. I just don't think Tennessee will leave their starters in long enough, truthfully, with the injuries they've had and, how many young guys, like I mentioned, they want to test out. I just don't think they'll leave their starters in long enough. But I wouldn't doubt it'll be, 48, 52, 45, somewhere in there. For this football team. But I think, honestly, as long as you're there and not on the other end where you're struggling, I don't think anybody will have many complaints on Saturday.
Absolutely. Hey, Caleb, we sure appreciate you, man.
Yep, I appreciate y'all. And, hopefully get some Hardees for dinner now. Seems like y'all are
That's right.
antsy to get there.
And how can our listeners follow you, man?
Yes, sir. So I'm on Twitter at CalebGyro16. All of my stuff is at the Daily Times. We got a full slate of prep games this week. Actually, Marible's at Cleveland next week, so we'll be over in y'all's area next week. But yeah, full slate of prep games. We got Maribel College opening the season as well, and full Tennessee coverage over on our website and at my Twitter.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
By the way,
good stuff there.
The Vols, I don't know if y'all know this, but, Tennessee had to vacate some games a few years back. You know about that as a Notre Dame fan. Anyway, their official record, as recognized by the NCAA at Neyland Stadium, is 493 wins, 141 losses, 17 ties. On the field, 499 wins, 141 losses, and 17 ties. So if Tennessee beats ETSU, do they celebrate, hey, this is our 500th win at Neyland Stadium, or do they got to wait and win 6 more games?
I mean, I would.
I would too. I recognize it on the field stuff, and I don't know if does the NCAA get mad at you if you don't go with what their numbers say?
I mean, Major League Baseball used to get mad at the Reds when they do anything Pete Rose, they put that number 14 everywhere they could.
They did. You're right. You're 100% right on that for sure. Well, I just thought I didn't realize that until I looked it up their Tennessee notes, and they've won 499 games on the field at Neyland Stadium.
Well, by the way, to bring this back up, since I just mentioned it, the Volunteers beat the Mocs 69-3 last season. So I think you could probably expect something very similar.
I don't know if y'all know this, but Tennessee has won more games at Neyland Stadium than any other college has won at their home stadium in the history of college football. We're talking about Yale, Harvard, Penn. We're talking about no team has ever won 500 games in their home stadium. Tennessee has a chance to do that this Saturday if you go by.
That's impressive.
No team's ever won 500 games. I think it's really cool, man.
Yeah, it's not something that I knew, but it's not something that shocks me. I mean, you want to talk about a home field advantage? Neyland Stadium is one of the greatest of them all. So.
Yeah, but I just, like I said, I haven't heard much being talked about that because I think most people recognize the NCAA record, which obviously Tennessee would probably have to do that either at the end of this year or at the first of next year.
Well, as a Notre Dame fan, Notre Dame Stadium opened in 1930, and the Irish have won 437 games, so they're off pace.
Well, of course, Neyland Stadium opened in 1921.
Yeah.
And Tennessee's played, they used to play a boatload of home games back. If you look at their series records from the 40s, 50s, and whatnot, I mean, Tennessee sometimes would play, 8, 9 home games, play 1 or 2 on the road. That was pretty commonplace for a lot of the teams back in those days. Nowadays, it's a little bit more balanced still. I mean, Tennessee rarely plays on the road against a non-conference opponent. They do occasionally, but it's like if they play like a Syracuse, they try to play it at a neutral site game, but you rarely see Tennessee go on the road. I'm not saying they don't, but they rarely go on the road as a true road game in a non-conference game. And when they go to 9 conference games, especially those years where you're only getting 4 of those 9 at Neyland Stadium, they're not going to play any road games then. They're going to get every game, non-conference-wise, will be a home game.
Yeah, the USC Trojans have won 471 home games at L.A. Coliseum. So, Vol's getting it done there, man. Setting the standard.
By the way, Georgia Tech is, I think, number 2 behind Tennessee as far as all-time wins in their home stadium. I think Bobby Dodd Stadium, which used to be Grant Field. But yeah, I think they're number 2. But I love stuff like that, y'all.
Hey, while we're talking some college football, Jim, you ready to do a little Inside the SEC?
Absolutely, man.
Once again, Inside the SEC, sponsored by Southern Heritage Bank, and Jim has your Inside the SEC segment on lock.
The NFL, the 53-man rosters were released yesterday, and here are the Southeastern Conference schools that have at least 20 players on current NFL rosters. Alabama leads the entire country with 62. Georgia is tied with Ohio State with 57 players. LSU is 5th with 39. Texas has 37. Oklahoma 32. We're talking about Texas and Oklahoma, SEC. Golly, still hard to get used to that, guys.
It is.
Florida 31 players. Texas A&M 27. Tennessee with 26. They rank 16th as far as all schools with 26 players. South Carolina has 25. Auburn has 21, and Ole Miss has 20. There are 29 colleges with 20 or more players on NFL rosters. The SEC has 11. The Big Ten has 12. But far and away, those two leagues just dominate when it comes to NFL players on the 53-man roster.
Well, you mentioned Alabama with 62 leading the SEC.
Leading the country.
That's about to change.
You know what, guys? I'm still buying in. I'm not selling my Alabama stock. I think there's too much talent on that team. I believe Alabama is going to rebound and be a player in the Southeastern Conference in 2025. I do. And I may be wrong, but there's too much talent.
My take on this Alabama team, this 2025 Alabama team, is that they're probably going to win a couple big games that right now we're thinking they're not going to. I think they'll win some of those, but I also think they might drop another one or two that you're thinking they shouldn't.
This Georgia game coming up is massive. It is massive.
Kirby smells blood in the water, I believe.
What? Well, not only Kirby, so a lot of fans around this country, around the South, their Alabama fatigue was real for the longest time. It really was. And there's a lot of people that are celebrating Alabama having issues right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, they're going to get every team's best shot for a long time. It doesn't matter. Like, they could go 6-6 for the next 3 years, and I guarantee you there's not one fan in this, country that wouldn't salivate over the chance to beat them.
And people still storm the field.
Yeah.
Beating a 6-6 Alabama. They would. They'd storm the field.
Just because of how dominant they were for such a long time. Like, it's going to take a while before someone doesn't be like, yeah, I love it.
It's just Alabama. It's just Alabama.
Yeah. Shout out Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt, looking to do it down there this year.
I'll tell you what, before Nick Saban became the head coach at Alabama, and you had, Mike Shula, it was a disaster. Beating Alabama was just like beating Missouri. That was not a big deal because they were down for like 4 or 5 years, and it became like, what in the world's going on in Tuscaloosa? And the fans were like, we can't handle this. That's why they were going to do anything they could to get the best coach in the country, and they got him when they got Nick Saban. Of course, Nick Saban, if you remember this, Nick Saban denied it. He flat out denied he was going to Alabama, and he did.
You know what Alabama should have done? That again. Went out and got the best coach in the country, and it was not Kalen DeBoer.
Wait a minute. Do y'all remember what they almost got before Nick Saban? Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rich Rod.
He turned the Alabama job down. He turned it down. Nick Saban was plan B.
Yeah. Wow.
What if you ever always hear these what if things? What if Rich Rod had taken that Alabama job?
So my timeline mentally is a little messed up here. Was Rich Rod still at West Virginia at the time? So it was prior to him taking the Michigan job.
That's correct.
Man, he ran Michigan into the ground, didn't he?
Well, he did. He did.
And I like Rich Rod.
And he's back at West Virginia. To me, he
never should have left.
He's a good fit at West Virginia.
Never should have left.
You know, there are certain guys that the culture doesn't fit. And I'm trying to remember who was the head coach at Auburn a couple years ago from like Boise State. My mind just went blank. He was not a good fit culturally.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be a good fit. And Rich Rodriguez in Michigan was not a good fit. He's a good old boy. You don't get good old boys don't coach at Michigan.
I feel the same way about DeBoer at Alabama. I really do.
He's a West Coast guy.
Yeah, I know.
He's a Western guy. He's from the Rocky Mountain area. That's what I think of him, and he doesn't feel like Alabama.
He doesn't.
Lane Kiffin now, to me, let me ask you this. I've heard this rumor. The head coach of the Texans is Houston Texans is D'Amico Ryans.
Mm-hmm.
Would he be a good fit as a head coach at Alabama? Let's say the Alabama job were to open up. D'Amico Ryans doing some good things with the Houston Texans. Would he be a better fit there, or would Lane Kiffin? I think Lane Kiffin, even though he didn't go to Alabama, but he was assistant there, I think Lane Kiffin, to me, would be the best option for Alabama.
I mean, I like the idea of trying to bring back one of your own and D'Amico Ryans.
I mean, and everyone says, well, we don't know if he can recruit. Listen, it's Alabama.
It
you can
recruits
recruit.
itself.
You can. That's exactly right. But would he be the best fit for the University of Alabama, assuming that Caleb DeBoer was let go or something?
Some good food for thought right there.
And I've seen some lists out there, boys. I've even seen John Gruden.
His name's always going to get
every time there's an open. John Gruden, you know.
Nope.
I've seen some interesting names there. I've even seen Ryan Day mentioned. Who knows, man? Money talks.
I just can't help but smile when I hear Ryan Day's name now,
I know.
but we're not going to get into it. Hey, real quick on tap for this Saturday, head coach Josh Heupel and the Volunteers are 1-0, set to host journeyman QB Cade McNamara. Remember Cade McNamara from his time at Michigan and Iowa?
I do.
Yeah, he's splitting time now at ETSU as the quarterback. ETSU 1-0 with a big 45-17 win over Murray State. Again, coming up to Knoxville to Neyland Stadium this Saturday. Pre-game coverage starts right here, right next door to our studio, the Mix 104.1 studio, and kickoff will be at 3:30. So be sure to catch that Tennessee Volunteers game. And then right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs 1-0, set to host Austin Peay, who's 1-0, and went over to Murfreesboro and beat up on MTSU last week. So that, again, this Saturday, Between the Hedges at Sanford Stadium pregame right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, kickoff at 3:30.
And we've got an NFL game coming up tonight on our station as well. NFL kicking off. Are y'all excited about it? I'm excited about it. I'm probably a bigger NFL fan than you are. I know I am. I think, Andy, you'd like the NFL, but probably not as much as me. I'm probably more excited about the NFL than both you guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm excited this year. Over the past 2 seasons, I've been a little bit more locked into the NFL than I was for a good while. Kind of gave up on them at one point. But they've won me back. I'm giving them a chance again, not to push me away from the game. But I'm excited about this matchup because you're getting to see the Philadelphia Eagles hang up a banner in front of the
bunch of Georgia Bulldogs on that roster.
Yeah, they're getting to hang up a banner in front of the Dallas Cowboys just to kind of jab at them a little bit. And of course, we'll have that game right here on ESPN Cleveland right after our show today.
That's right. I'm excited. I'm a big fantasy guy, so I'm excited the NFL's coming back. I did another draft today in 3 different leagues, so I'm excited.
Do you draft a lot of Georgia Bulldogs?
Yes, but not like I'm not going to go out of my way to select it. Like I try to win.
Okay.
You know, but if it's between Lad McConkey and a guy that's going to score about the same amount of points, I'm gonna take Lad.
Gotcha.
Hey, real quick before we go to break, of course, Braves coverage here on the Drive brought to you by Mayfield Dairy, and some big news out of Atlanta. Braves reinstate Jurickson Profar from the paternity list, and DFA'd infielder Luke Williams, and along with that, they recalled right-handed pitcher Daysbel Hernandez and released right-handed pitcher Cal Quantrill. So the Cal Quantrill experiment did not last very long.
It still lasted longer than Kimbrel, though, didn't it?
It sure. Yeah, that wasn't even a cup of coffee. I don't know what you call that.
He was just brewing it, and they said, "No, you're out of here."
Yeah, and last night, after 2 consecutive one-run losses in the first 2 games of the series to the Cubs, Braves finally win a game up there at Wrigley 5-1 in the series finale. Starter Bryce Elder got the W with a great performance. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, no walks, 6 strikeouts. And our new guy, Ha-Seong Kim, hit his first home run as a Brave, the first home run by an Atlanta Braves shortstop this entire season.
That is incredible. That's incredible. Hey, any of y'all ever been to Wrigley Field?
It's on the bucket list.
Yeah, still on the bucket list.
Yeah, same here.
I'm waiting. So I've kind of held back on going to some of these stadiums because I'm waiting for my boys to get older. Like that's something that I want to do together with them is take them to all of the stadiums. So I haven't been spending money on it yet personally. Me and my brother are going to all the SEC stadiums together. But when my second boy's born Christmas Eve, that's going to start a clock, I think, of when those road trips are going to start.
It's so funny. I guess the most famous stadium I've ever been in was the original Yankee Stadium. I went there. I went to the Rose Bowl. I've been to the L.A. Coliseum.
That's awesome.
I've been to Soldier Field. Saw a Bears game there when I went to Chicago for a printing show back in the day.
The Bears used to play at Wrigley.
Mm-hmm. Back 1970 was the last year
Yeah.
they moved the Soldier Field in 1971. But but I would like to go to Fenway and Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
I want to go to both of them.
I'm on board with that. Hey, also last night, Ozzie Albies had 2 hits, another home run in his last 9 games. He's hitting .417, 5 home runs, 13 RBI. So Ozzie Albies getting it done for the Braves. Tonight, they're off, so no game. We're going to be going straight into our NFL coverage of Cowboys-Eagles. With that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Bradley Central head football coach Damon Floyd.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
When competition is fierce, sports injuries happen, and Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Saturday sports clinics are available at our Chattanooga and Cleveland offices from August 23rd through November 8th for the treatment of non-emergency orthopedic injuries like sprains, strains, and fractures. Doors open at 9 a.m., no appointment needed to be seen by our highly trained physicians and clinical staff. Saturday sports clinic dates are subject to change. Check sportmed.com for the latest information. That's sportmed.com.
ESPN Cleveland 101.3 is powered by Duracell. For the past quarter century, Mix 104.1 has been your home for UT Vols football. That's something to celebrate. Vol 25 is here. ESPN Cleveland 101.3 and USS are giving you a chance to win tickets to all of the Tennessee road games this season. Each Monday before a road game, you can register to win tickets to that Saturday's Vols game. Vol 25 is brought to you by USS. Visit USSTN.com/Chattanooga. For more information, check out our ESPN Cleveland 101.3 socials on Facebook and Instagram.
Have you seen what happens when a weed eater gets too close to vinyl siding? Ouch! Choose steel siding from Best Buy Metals, available in board and batten and lap siding options. Permanent siding from Best Buy Metals is custom manufactured to the half-inch for a perfect fit. Stop by a showroom or go to bestbuymetalroof.com to learn how you can protect your structure.
Do you suffer from unsightly leg veins? Are your legs turning brown or swelling? Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Do you have restless legs or leg cramps disturbing your sleep? These symptoms are signs of bad veins. Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Find more information online at milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682 and get rid of those bad veins.
You bleed orange. You never miss a Vols game. But when's the last time you showed that same pride in your smile? At Magnolia Dental Center of Cleveland, we treat every patient like it's 4th and goal. Fast, tough, and no-nonsense care. Just like the way Tennessee plays. Cleanings, repairs, full-on restorations. We'll get you back in the game. Magnolia Dental Center, proudly serving Vol Nation, one winning smile at a time. Call 423-476-3307 or visit magnoliadentalcenterofcleveland.com to schedule an appointment today.
Listen up, Cleveland. The wait is over. Josh Porter here with Optimize You, the region's #1 hormone replacement clinic. We specialize in both men and women's hormones and are so excited to finally be here in Cleveland, ready to serve you. Find us online at OptimizeYouCenters.com. That's OptimizeYouCenters.com.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Discover your new favorite sweet treat. The Mayfield Dairy Ice Cream Bar, now available in 4 delicious flavors. Chocolate chip cookie dough, chocolate fudge brownie, caramel waffle cone, and cherry fudge chunk. Learn more at mayfielddairy.com. And I think I'm probably making Coach Floyd a little hungry here. We're joined by Bradley Central head football coach Damon Floyd. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Doing well. Just got done talking about a little Tennessee volunteer football, and now excited to transition over to high school football, which all of our high school football coverage is presented by Food City. And coming off last week, Coach, you guys had a big win up there at Walker Valley, 28-14 over the Mustangs. And I want to lead off with this because I was extremely impressed with this young man, but Kenyon Phelps, what can you tell us about him?
Well, he's a guy that's obviously he's tough. Last year he moved in late, so we didn't really know a whole lot about him, and probably should have started him at running back a whole lot earlier than I did last season. But towards the end of the year when we had to switch offenses, it wasn't no secret who was getting the ball every time, and I mean every Friday night he just showed up. So the first thing is toughness. He had a really good off season in the weight room. He's in the 1,000-pound club. He actually set our skill squat record with 585 pounds. He's got good speed, great kid, comes to work every day, got voted a captain. That tells you what his teammates think about him. So can't say enough about him. I was happy to see him get those yards and the recognition. And we talk always about, if you work hard, things seem to work out for you and reaping what you sow. And offensive line obviously blocked really well, but I was happy to see him get that recognition.
Well, Coach, can you think of a better birthday gift than what you got on Friday night?
No, that's all. It's been going on for quite a while now. I've had birthday on quite a few of our games over the years, and it's become like a tradition where they get me a cake and that kind of thing, and they'll ask what we want. It's like I just want one thing, and that's a win. So it was definitely a good birthday gift.
Let's talk a little bit about that defense. I was very impressed with them as well. They put the clamps down on Friday. So talk a little bit about that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, going into the season, we felt like we have a chance to be pretty good defensively. And really, I think I told you this, guys, last week is against McMinn County, we felt like we only gave up 2 plays, and they just happened to go for touchdowns. The other one was, they got the ball inside, really good field position from the fake punt that didn't work out. But, we gave Walker Valley a totally different look than what we gave McMinn. Against McMinn, we played a lot of man-to-man, and against Walker Valley, we dropped a lot and played zone, gave them a light box. And so I think that obviously helped us, until the end. But guys are really flying around. I mean, you got to give A.J. Westfield a lot of credit. I mean, just the type of player he is. He's a great person, by the way, too, but the type of player he is, I mean, he's hard to block.
Yeah, it seemed like he was in the backfield the entire night.
Oh, yeah. It's good to have him on our side for sure. But I thought Paul Stokes, he actually got player of the game, our nose guard. He had 6 tackles and a sack. And then Zane McIntosh played well up front. So we were able, with those 3 guys and Andrew Carroll kind of playing in the middle, we were able to drop a lot of guys into coverage. So thought that was key, that those 4 in the box, played well all night and let our other guys cover a lot.
Well, Coach, you talked about A.J. Westfield just being a great player, but on Friday night, I noticed what a great young man he was, just the sportsmanship he showed. It's something we talked about on our Walker Valley broadcast multiple times, helping guys up, giving them pats on the helmets. You could just tell that he's a great young man. But then on the offensive side of the ball, I think you thought people would see him toting the rock, but boy, was he just an absolute mover out there on the edge for you.
Yeah, the first thing you said, there was one time I guess he hit Chase, and obviously they were teammates last year. And, at first I said, hey, were you talking junk to him? He said, no, Coach, I was just telling him, Chase, get up. You're not hurt, And he was saying it in the way of like, I don't want you to be hurt. Get back up. And he's a great kid. And, since day one, he has really, really fit in well with us and became a leader. But I will not say that he's not going to run it at some point this year. He was actually sick last week, to be honest, and we weren't. Well, he kept telling us he was going to play, but he didn't do a whole lot of practicing last week, to be honest. So we have a rule: if you don't practice, you don't play. But if you're a certain person and somebody that we can trust, and you're just not being lazy in practice, then we'll let you play. And obviously, he's one of those guys. But you got Kenyon Phelps in the backfield, and we knew AJ could move some people. Actually, Zane McIntosh played a lot of offense for us too. But so AJ will carry the ball at some point this year. But we feel really good with Kenyon Phelps running as well.
Coach, we also, talking offensively for a second here, we saw a little bit of a different look from you guys with Braden Carroll at quarterback.
Yep, that's something that we have been working really all summer. And he cramped up the first game against McMinn County in the second half to get to play any, so kind of changed a little bit. But we feel like we have multiple guys that can carry the ball, and Braden can do that. Braden can also throw. So there's a lot more that we obviously practice that we haven't shown yet. And, as games go on. And, Friday night, it kind of the way it worked out, we got up 21 points, I think, early, the first quarter at least, and kind of changed the game plan a little bit. So we have some multi packages that we work on. And, last year after we had some of the injuries we had, we knew all off season that we got to prepare for everything.
So on Friday night, you got Hardin Valley coming in. Tell our fans out there what to expect out of those guys.
They're much improved. They've not had a lot of success the past couple of years, but they beat two teams the first 2 weeks of the season pretty handily, and they were two teams that beat them last year. So they've improved a lot. This is Coach Tyler Wynn's his second year, so they're very, very multiple on offense. I mean, they give you about every formation you can think of, do a lot of shifts, trades, motions. So defensively, it's not a hard game plan because we just got to get lined up correctly and play hard. So when we're on offense, defensively, they've been kind of like we were. One game they showed a lot of man-to-man, and the next game they showed a lot of zone coverage. So not real sure what we're going to get. I would say that they're probably going to focus on trying to stop Kenyon first, and then make us throw the ball to beat them. So that's what we're expecting. But you never really know until you get there on Friday night.
Coach, kind of going back to last week, you come off of a rough loss and you're heading into Walker Valley. I've probably told this story 3 times this week. My brother-in-law, Parker Johnson, played for you there a couple years back, and I think he would run through a wall for you if you called him right now. What's your message to a team after that, and you got to turn around and go play another rival like you did Friday night?
Well, I love Parker Johnson for sure. He was a great player for us and a great person. So I think a lot of him and his family. But I'm just very honest with them, at any time, whether it's a win, loss. I remember Coach Logsdon, when I wrestled for him, he was always very honest with us and told us the truth, whether you liked it or not. So I always appreciated that. So I just try to be very honest with them and not sugarcoat anything. And the bottom line is a lot of it was on me, the McMinn County loss, but they got to take some blame too because we had way too many penalties and a lot of miscues that put us in bad situations. So we had to clean it up a little bit. And I thought we did a lot. I think we had 13 penalties, but I think 4 of those were pass interference. So, we cut them down a little bit. We need to cut them down a little bit more. But in any game you play, you try not to lose the game. And, we caught some breaks against Walker Valley where we got the high snap on the punt and then the turnover on kickoff that went our way. So once that happened, now it's like, hey, you're up 21. We want to kind of control the clock and keep it out of the Walker Valley's offensive hands because we know they're explosive. So that's why we ran the ball as much as we did.
Coach Floyd, appreciate you always taking the time to get with us. And, of course, region opener, Hardin Valley, this Friday, tomorrow at Bear Stadium, 7 o'clock. And we wish you guys all the luck in the world and look forward to seeing you guys get after it.
All right, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, good stuff there from Coach Floyd, as always. And you nailed it with that question, Jacob, about just getting his team to respond. Man, they play so aggressive, and you can see them on the sideline on Friday nights, get them fired up. So definitely think some good days ahead for this Bradley team.
Still more penalties than I think they really want. They've got to clean that up. That's going to bite them in the butt at some point. They've got to get those penalties taken. I know that they had some pass interference, but they're still penalties.
Yeah.
So either way.
Yeah. Well, listen, good show today. Flew by. Got some couple of good interviews in there with Coach Floyd, of course, and Caleb Giroux of the Daily Times, Tennessee Vol coverage there. So for Jim, Jacob, I'm Andy. Have a great day, everybody.
It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don Ledford Chevrolet Buick GMC, located on North Lee Highway in Cleveland. Or visit donledford.com for details. Don Ledford, where we say yes. It's on-time traffic with Commander Chuck.
Good afternoon. It's still heavy out here on most of the major outbound routes. Still some volume trying to make its way northbound on 75 up over White Oak Mountain up through the Cleveland, Bradley County area. Stop and go right now as you arrive in Hickson. There, it's busy. 153 at Hamill Road going outbound on 58. That's still building out towards Harrison. Blackstone Grill, Chattanooga's new restaurant. It's now open for lunch and dinner. Give it a try tonight at Blackstone Grill, 3018 Cummings Highway in Lookout Valley. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
From the Alon Planning Partners Weather Center, here's your forecast on ESPN Cleveland 1013. Visit them online at alonplanning.com or give them a call at 423-315-1441.
Expect some scattered showers and thunderstorms Thursday morning between about 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. Then we're going to clear out, have a high of 86. But during the afternoon and the evening hours, more scattered storms are going to move through. Lightning, heavy rain, and gusty winds will be the main threat. Moving into Friday, hot and muggy with a high of 92. More scattered showers and storms on Saturday with a high of 86. And then cool and dry for Sunday, 78 degrees. Download the Local 3 weather app, free for iPhone and Android. I'm Chief Meteorologist David Carnes for the Local 3 Storm Alert Team.
Your current Milligan Vane temperature is 84 degrees. MilliganVane.com.
Omaha, set, hut. This is John Davis, the trade-in man for Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway, announcing our year-end sales blitz. My team will do whatever it takes to win your business. Red zone prices and payments on every vehicle in our giant inventory. We're going to tackle every trade-in, even if you have months left or still owe thousands, and we're going to crush bad credit. Our lenders will say yes to you and yes to your situation, plus beat any deal from anywhere in Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama. The only deal that I can't beat is the one that I don't know about. Don't miss this year-end sales blitz. Make the winning drive and score the best deal of the year. Come see me, John Davis, at Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee, where trading your car is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Looking for the dealer who's gonna give you more. Kia of Cleveland Superstore.
Negative trade equity may be refinanced subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
KiaofCleveland.com.
From the Kia of Cleveland studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 1013, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN.